What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here. Today we're going to be talking about the Glock 26, my favorite everyday carry option, my favorite overall firearm, and potentially why it could be the best overall firearm. And that's just to me. It might not be for you, but at least hear me out before, going crazy in the comments. I can already hear you guys saying, "Oh, well, you added a base plate, you added an aftermarket slide, metal sights, blah." Guys, I get that. We all like to customize our firearms. If you're into firearms and you like your everyday carry firearm, we all add little stuff to it. All the SIGs I see, right, have aftermarket parts on them. It's just what you do. But as long as you test those parts, if you get reliable brands like Henning Group, like Remsport, who makes precision barrels and slides and stuff like that, then you can trust these things. It's all about that firearm in your hand and how those parts mesh. So when you're at the range, actually bring your carry firearm, because that's what I do. But anyways, my main Glock 26 that I've been carrying lately is my everyday carry build. And if you want to see that part list and that firearm, look up on my channel, Glock 26 everyday carry build, Spin Firearms, and it should pop up. That has been my go-to. Now, it could be many reasons why this is the best overall firearm. So I'm just going to start listing them, right? You can get this firearm, you can leave the store at about $550 with tax and everything, right? So it's not breaking the bank. We all don't have money to spend $2,500 on a pistol, or $1,500, or whatever the case may be. But we want a workhorse, a reliable firearm. The Glock 26 is one of those firearms that you just don't hear any negative things about. People always say, "Oh, Glock Gen 4s had recalls." Guys, that wasn't with these, because these used the Gen 3 recoil springs. The subcompacts were not part of that Glock recall, and that's because they use the same exact guide rod and recoil spring assembly. Therefore, they weren't having those issues. So technically, the Glock 26 has been flawless since 1994. These have been carried and tested by law enforcement agencies across the country. On top of that, there is no firearm that has more aftermarket parts or holster compatibility. And if you have a Glock 19, your Glock 26 will fit in that holster. If you have a Glock 17, your Glock 26 will fit in that holster. Your Glock 27 will fit in that holster. Your Glock 28 will fit in that holster. Your Glock 33 will fit in that holster, right? And I get that having a longer holster wouldn't really make sense for it, but if you really had to and you only had one holster, you could make that work. A lot of them just have it cut out so that the slide can go down and you can use, the smaller Glocks like this or the larger Glocks. But this takes every double stack 9mm mag. I also want to say the Glock 27 could potentially also be the best overall firearm. The Glock 27 is the same exact size, takes all the double stack magazines, but on top of that, the 27 can be turned into a 9mm using a conversion barrel. And as long as you buy good quality brands like Storm Lake or KKM Precision, stuff like that, Barstow, stuff like that, you're not going to have reliability issues. It can also be 357 SIG, which is one of my favorite rounds, and definitely one of my favorite rounds in a firearm that's small like this. On top of that, you can carry this every day and conceal it just fine. For something like the Glock 43X, it's only 0.16 inches wider, and for something like a Hellcat, it's about 0.25 inches wider, right? And for you, I get it if the chunky firearm is what prints for you, but for me, it is the grip length. As long as I keep this section small, then I can conceal it. And the Glock 26 is one of the shortest for capacity. Look it up. It's shorter than the Hellcat with the 10-round flush mag. Look it up. This is one of the shortest firearms this way that still has 10 plus 1 rounds. It's just thicker. But at the same time, compared to a Micro 9, this is going to have less recoil. You're going to have more of a purchase on this firearm overall because it is thicker. You're going to get more hand. More hand means more traction, more friction, more grip, more recoil control, right? On top of that, this can take 10-round mag all the way up to a Glock 33-round mag and run flawlessly. I've never had an issue running any of the larger Glock mags ever. Not a single problem. Not once. On top of it, the barrel is somewhere in between a micro, right? So a Micro 9 has about a 3-inch or a 3.1 inch, and a compact is about a 4-inch. This is dead center. So this is like your perfect go-to if you're looking for a firearm that has little recoil, that's less snappy than a Micro 9, but at the same time, it's more comfortable than a compact and a full size. But also, if you talk to Glock 26 owners, a lot of them say they shoot their 26 better than their 19 and their 17. Which is actually pretty interesting to think about. And whenever I talk to these people, they always mention there's more muzzle flip on the larger barrel, larger slides. There's a little bit less recoil than the 26, but more muzzle flip. So they've found that if they get in a rhythm, they are better at shooting their 26 and getting back on target and so on. And like I said, I've pocket carried this firearm with a flush 10-round mag. It wasn't the most comfortable, but if you had to do it, you could. If you had to deep conceal this firearm, depending on what you're doing or where you're going, you could. On top of that, if this was your one and only firearm, you could make this a home defense firearm. Like I just said, throw that 33 rounder in, or throw a 15, which is a Glock 19 mag with an X grip, or a Glock 17 mag with an X grip, or you can find about a million different brands of base plates. Base plates you've never even heard of, like Henning Group. They make some of the best products. Everyone asks about this base plate. It's a +2. So this very, very small compact setup right here is 12+1 and 9mm. Run some good defensive rounds out of a 3.5-inch barrel. It's a solid everyday carry setup. We already talked about reliability, compared it to other size firearms, and so on. Now, the reason I'm so big into the Glock 26, other than all that, is, for instance, I have other Glocks. I have the Glock 19, the Glock 23, the Glock 27, the 28, the 33, the 39. All those parts, 80 or 85% of those parts are compatible. Literally, the only parts that this can't take from a Glock 19 internally is the guide rod. It literally takes everything else. Everything else is the same. So for instance, right now, if I had to, I could swap out these parts for OEM parts that I have sitting in my parts kit 10 times. I could do this with 10 different parts kits. So you can start as a Glock owner, you can just stack up on parts kits, and if crap ever hit the fan, if things ever went left, literally you would be able to swap out your firearm, all these parts, in less than 5 minutes. I mean, it's the ultimate. It's the easiest firearm to clean. It's the easiest firearm to swap out parts. It's the easiest firearm to learn. And on top of that, it's a safe firearm. This is not going to go off on its own ever. It's simply because of the design used with this firearm, having not a fully cocked striker, a trigger safety, all this stuff makes your Glock extremely safe. Now, once again, I know you're going to say the aftermarket parts thing. Imagine this is an OEM Glock then. You're not going to have issues. And I have about 13 Glock 26s at this point. Yes, I know people always say that's crazy, that's stupid. But to be honest, I was buying Glock OEM Glock 26s because they're so outdated, or it could be the 27 frame, 28, 33, 39. You get what I'm saying. They're all the same lowers. But anyways, I have 13 of them, and I've never had any issues except for once. Actually, I'll say twice. Once was a base plate's fault. It was a Hive base plate, and that spring wouldn't go up. It got stuck on something, and I haven't used that Hive base plate for carry since. The other time is one of my Glock builds did not like Novak's defensive rounds, which have sort of been a spotty round for some people, but for some reason, that specific Glock 26, it was a build, could not run that ammo. Now, I don't know why that was. I haven't figured out what the actual reason is for it, but this firearm right here runs it. So basically this is going to be able to run almost any defensive ammo except for RIP ammo, which will be terrible on your firearm and isn't the greatest ballistically anyways, but it basically eats everything, spits it out. I've even had a Glock 26 at 2,000 rounds, not cleaned, gunked up, literally racking the slide, felt so terrible, ran everything, ate it, spit it out. It's just a good overall firearm. That's why I recommend this. As long as you have, size medium, large, or XL, this would be a great firearm to go to. Some people with smaller firearms don't like how long it is this way, as well as how wide it is, but anyone with medium fingers tend to like, or medium hands and large hands, tend to like the finger grooves and they work out for them. XLs are a different story. Some people like them, some don't. But anyways, literally the Glock 26 has been the greatest firearm for me. And once again, it does not break the bank. It's reliable. It has parts compatibility, magazine compatibility, and the list goes on. It is a versatile firearm, and yes, no light. We can touch on that for a second. How I've justified that, in my mind at least, right, with no light, is a TLR6 is like 150 lumens. If 150 lumens isn't enough for you at night, if you're that far away from the person or the situation, I don't even know if it's a good idea that you are letting your firearm go off or that you have it drawn from that distance. I get certain situations, but in most cases, 99.9% of the cases, they're not going to be further than 50 feet from you. And that's just the truth, 60 feet. And I try and avoid being out at night, so I don't really carry with a light, although I do with my Hellcat when I am out at night. But if it really comes down to it, the TLR6 tends to be enough. It's enough for my house. I've tested it at night when it's completely dark, turned on my TLR6 to see if it was enough, and it lit up my house just fine. So that's enough. I get it doesn't have a rail. That's less, options, stuff like that. But for what it is, for everything else it gives you, it is a great overall firearm. And guys, stay tuned because the Glock 26 Gen 5 MOS will be dropping. I'm going to say that again. It will be dropping soon. So if you're looking to get a new Glock 26 and you want the MOS version and you just don't want the regular Glock sights or iron sights, don't buy a Glock 26 right now. Wait a couple months. It should be coming out. I'm going to try and call Glock and just confirm because I don't want to be misleading you, but that is what I heard. So Glock 26, honestly, everyone should have one in their collection. It's just one of those firearms that is always there for you. It'll be there for you if crap hits the fan, and you will be able to swap this out with majority of your other Glocks. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.